Right now, there are millions of older adults sitting in doctors' offices being told that their hearing loss is simply part of getting older. They are handed a referral for a hearing aid that costs $3,000, $4,000, sometimes $7,000, and they are sent home. No one mentions the foods they could be eating. No one tells them about the plants that have been protecting and supporting hearing for thousands of years, and no one tells them that God already placed these answers in nature long before the first pharmaceutical company ever existed. I am not telling you to discard your medication. I am not saying that doctors are wrong. What I am saying is this: if you have been managing hearing loss for years, and no one has ever once spoken to you about the foods on this list, you have not been given the full picture. Today that changes. Stay with me through this entire video because by the end, you will know 10 foods and plants that were mentioned in Scripture thousands of years ago and that modern nutritional science has since confirmed may help protect, support, and in some cases improve your hearing health. In this video, we are looking at 10 biblical remedies for hearing loss and ear problems, and number 2 is the most important one. And please, by the end, if this video helped you or gave you something to think about, please share it with someone you love, a parent, a neighbor, a dear friend who has been struggling with their hearing. I personally believe the food and remedies God gave us in the Bible are far better than any medicine. Comment down below so I can see how many of you agree with me. Garlic. Garlic is one of the most powerful natural medicines found in any kitchen. And for ear health, it is particularly remarkable because of what it does against infection. Ear infections are among the most common causes of hearing damage as we age. When they go untreated, or when they recur repeatedly over the years, they can cause scarring and permanent damage to the delicate structures of the ear. The healing power in garlic comes primarily from a compound called allicin, which is released when garlic is crushed or chopped. Research published in food science and medical journals has confirmed that allicin is highly effective against the same bacteria responsible for common ear infections, including Staphylococcus aureus. Garlic also contains selenium, a trace mineral that research has connected to the protection of cochlear hair cells, the tiny, irreplaceable cells inside the inner ear that convert sound into the signals your brain can understand. When those cells are damaged, hearing loss follows, and this is not new knowledge. The Bible mentioned garlic long before any laboratory ever confirmed its value. In Numbers chapter 11, verse 5, the Israelites in the wilderness say they remember the fish they ate in Egypt and the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. God's people understood the value of garlic. They mourned it when it was taken from them. Crush or finely chop 1 to 2 fresh garlic cloves and add them to your meals each day: soups, stews, or even stirred into warm olive oil over bread. Crushing activates the allicin, so always crush or chop before cooking. If the taste is too strong, garlic capsules are available at most health food stores and are a simple alternative. Do not place raw garlic directly in the ear. Always speak with your doctor before using any eardrops. Olive oil. If there is one natural remedy where both modern medicine and ancient scripture are in full agreement for ear health, it is olive oil. One of the most common and entirely treatable causes of hearing loss in older adults is a buildup of hardened earwax in the ear canal. Studies have shown that impacted earwax can reduce hearing by as much as 40 decibels, a significant loss that many people endure without knowing there is a simple, natural solution. The American Academy of Otolaryngology recognizes softening agents as a safe and appropriate first-line approach for this condition, and warm olive oil is among the most effective. Beyond the ear canal, olive oil is rich in vitamin E and polyphenols, antioxidants that protect the delicate cells of the cochlea from the kind of oxidative stress that accumulates over a lifetime and contributes to age-related hearing decline. What is remarkable is that God already pointed us toward this. In the book of James, chapter 5, verse 14, the elders of the church are instructed to anoint the sick with oil and pray over them. Use 2 to 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil every day in your cooking and on salads for earwax buildup. Warm a small amount of olive oil until it is just above room temperature. Never hot, and place 2 to 3 drops gently into the affected ear using a dropper. Always confirm with your doctor first that your eardrum is intact before using any eardrops. Ginger. Ginger has been used as a medicinal plant across cultures for centuries. And for hearing health, its most important contribution is what it does for circulation and inflammation together. The inner ear is heavily dependent on consistent blood flow to function properly. When circulation to the cochlea is reduced, whether through aging, elevated blood pressure, or chronic inflammation in the blood vessels, hearing is affected. Ginger has been documented in peer-reviewed literature to improve blood flow and reduce vascular inflammation, making it directly relevant to inner ear health. It has also shown particular benefit for conditions like Meniere's disease, which causes episodes of fluctuating hearing loss, ringing in the ears, and vertigo. The active compounds responsible, called gingerols and shogaols, are ranked among the most studied natural anti-inflammatory agents available to us. In the Song of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 14, Scripture describes a garden overflowing with precious aromatic plants and spices, the spice plants of the ancient world, among which the ginger family held a prominent place in the trade and medicine of the Middle East and beyond. The simplest and most effective way to take 1 teaspoon of raw honey each day, stirred into warm, not boiling ginger tea or herbal tea, and steep them in a cup of hot water for 10 minutes. Remove the ginger, allow it to cool slightly, and drink it once or twice a day. You can add a teaspoon of raw honey to sweeten it. If fresh ginger is hard to find, dried ginger powder stirred into warm water works well too. Ginger capsules are also widely available for those who prefer a supplement. Onion. Onions are closely related to garlic, and like garlic, they have been used in traditional medicine for ear health across many cultures for a very long time. The most important active compound in onions for hearing health is quercetin, a flavonoid that belongs to the same family of natural anti-inflammatory agents as the compounds in many other foods on this list. A study published in Hearing Research demonstrated that quercetin has a protective effect on cochlear hair cells, the delicate, irreplaceable cells in the inner ear that must be protected if hearing is to be preserved over time. A review published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience in 2020 identified oxidative stress and inflammation as the primary forces driving age-related hearing loss, and onions with their quercetin, their vitamin C, and their antimicrobial compounds address both of those forces directly. Onions appear in the Bible in the same passage as garlic. In Numbers chapter 11 verse 5, onions are named among the foods God's people remembered and longed for from their time in Egypt. Add raw onion to your meals as often as possible in salads or cooked into soups, stews, and broths. Red onions contain the highest amount of quercetin, so when you can, choose red onions over white. If you are dealing with ear pain from a mild infection, a traditional remedy is to warm half an onion in the oven or microwave until soft. Wrap it in a clean cloth and hold it gently against the outside of the ear for 10 to 15 minutes. This is a comfort remedy for external use only. It is not a replacement for medical treatment of a diagnosed infection. Frankincense. Frankincense is perhaps the most sacred plant on this list, and its healing properties are among the most compelling. Frankincense resin comes from the boswellia tree, and it contains a family of compounds called boswellic acids, among the most potent natural anti-inflammatory agents that researchers have identified. The eustachian tube is the small passage connecting the middle ear to the back of the throat, and when it becomes chronically inflamed, it cannot drain properly. Fluid accumulates behind the eardrum, a condition called otitis media with effusion, and this is a meaningful cause of conductive hearing loss, particularly in adults dealing with chronic allergies or recurring inflammation. Boswellic acids have been studied in the journal Phytomedicine and reviewed in molecules for their ability to block the specific enzyme at the center of this inflammatory process. A 2017 scientific review confirmed that boswellia extracts significantly reduce the inflammatory pathways responsible for this kind of tissue swelling. Ancient wisdom confirmed this long before modern science gave it a mechanism. Frankincense is treated throughout the Bible with the highest reverence. In Exodus chapter 30 verse 34, it is named as one of the ingredients of the holy incense. This is a plant that Scripture honors. Its healing properties are entirely consistent with that reverence. The most practical way for most older adults to benefit from frankincense is through a standardized boswellia supplement capsule, available at health food stores and online. Look for a product that clearly lists the percentage of boswellic acids on the label. A good product will specify this. Follow the dosage on the label and speak with your doctor before starting, especially if you're taking anti-inflammatory medications. Frankincense essential oil is for aromatherapy only and should never be taken internally unless you are using food-grade resin in the traditional way. Figs. Figs are among the most nutritionally significant fruits in the entire biblical world, and their connection to hearing health is direct and well supported. Figs are one of the best natural dietary sources of both magnesium and potassium, two minerals that are essential to the function of the inner ear. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated that magnesium supplementation significantly reduced noise-induced hearing loss in study participants. Magnesium protects cochlear hair cells from a type of chemical damage called glutamate toxicity. It shields the very cells that make hearing possible from the accumulated stress of sound exposure and aging. Potassium is equally critical. The inner ear contains a fluid called endolymph, and the precise balance of potassium within that fluid allows the electrical signals of sound to be generated and transmitted. Researchers writing in the journal Ear and Hearing confirmed that potassium levels in this fluid decline with age, and that this decline is directly connected to age-related hearing loss. The Bible's most powerful and direct example of a natural food used for healing is found in 2 Kings chapter 20, verse 7. The prophet Isaiah instructs that a poultice of figs be prepared and applied to heal King Hezekiah, who was gravely ill, and the king recovered. 3 to 5 dried figs a day is a simple, enjoyable habit that provides a meaningful amount of both magnesium and potassium. Keep a small bag of dried figs in your kitchen and eat them as a morning snack, or chop them into your oatmeal or yogurt. Fresh figs, when in season, are even better. Figs are naturally sweet, so they need no preparation at all. Just eat them as they are. If you are diabetic, be mindful of portions and speak with your doctor, as figs are naturally high in fruit sugars. Raw honey is one of the most complete natural healing foods available, and its relevance to ear health is well documented. Ear infections, especially those that recur or resist standard treatment, are a serious and ongoing challenge for many older adults. Research published in the International Journal of Otorhinolaryngology found that honey was effective against the specific bacteria that form biofilms in chronic ear infections, including strains that have developed resistance to standard antibiotics. Honey produces hydrogen peroxide through a natural enzyme process, giving it powerful antimicrobial activity against a broad range of pathogens. Manuka honey contains an additional compound called methyl glyoxal, which provides even greater potency against resistant bacteria. Beyond fighting infection, raw honey is rich in flavonoids and phenolic acids, antioxidants that protect nerve tissue, including the auditory nerve, from oxidative damage over time. The Bible speaks of honey with both warmth and clarity. In Proverbs chapter 24, verse 13, Solomon writes that honey is good and sweet to the taste, a direct, joyful instruction to consume it because of its genuine goodness. Or simply eaten off the spoon. When shopping, look for raw or unfiltered honey, as processing destroys many of the beneficial enzymes and antioxidants. Manuka honey, if available to you, offers the strongest antimicrobial properties. For those managing diabetes, speak with your doctor about the appropriate amount. Honey should never be given to children under 1 year of age. Turmeric. Turmeric contains a compound called curcumin, and curcumin is one of the most thoroughly studied natural substances in nutritional medicine. For hearing health, its most important mechanism is its ability to reduce neuroinflammation in and around nerve tissue. The auditory nerve is the pathway along which sound signals travel from the inner ear to the brain. When this nerve is damaged by chronic inflammation or by oxidative stress that accumulates over a lifetime, the result is sensorineural hearing loss, the most common and most permanent form of hearing decline in older adults. A study published in Hearing Research demonstrated that curcumin protected cochlear hair cells from chemical damage, and a comprehensive review published in Nutrients in 2019 documented curcumin's neuroprotective effects as directly relevant to auditory function. Turmeric belongs to the family of fragrant, aromatic spice plants described in Song of Solomon chapter 4, verse 14, a passage that speaks of a garden filled with the precious spice plants of the ancient world. The most effective daily habit with turmeric is a cup of golden milk. Warm 1 cup of regular milk or plant milk. Do not boil it. Stir in half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, a small pinch of black pepper, and a small drizzle of olive oil or coconut oil. The black pepper is important because it contains piperine, which increases the absorption of curcumin dramatically. Drink this once a day, ideally in the evening. You can also add turmeric to soups, rice, and stews. Turmeric capsules with piperine added are widely available for those who prefer a supplement. Mustard. Mustard is one of the most recognizable plants in all of Scripture, and it carries healing properties that speak directly to hearing health. Mustard seeds contain two minerals that appear repeatedly in hearing research: selenium and magnesium. Selenium serves as a cofactor for one of the body's primary antioxidant enzymes, glutathione peroxidase, which protects cochlear hair cells from oxidative damage that accumulates over decades of life. A study published in Laryngoscope in 2011 found that low selenium levels were specifically associated with an increased risk of age-related hearing loss in adults over 60. Mustard greens are also rich in folate vitamin B9, and a study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology in 2010 found that higher dietary intake of folate was associated with a measurably reduced risk of hearing loss in older adults. The mustard plant is given one of the most memorable descriptions in all of the Gospels. In Matthew chapter 13, verses 31 and 32, Jesus says that the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, the smallest of seeds, which grows into the largest of garden plants. This small seed, used by Jesus to describe something of enormous significance. Add mustard seeds to your cooking regularly. They work beautifully in soups, lentil dishes, pickles, and vegetable stews. Toasting them briefly in a dry pan or a little olive oil before adding them to a dish brings out their flavor. Mustard greens can be lightly steamed or sautéed as a side vegetable and are simple to prepare. If you prefer a small amount of natural mustard paste, the kind made from whole seeds without artificial additives, added to meals is another easy option. Those with thyroid conditions should not eat large quantities of raw mustard greens and should cook them instead. Leeks. Leeks are the final food on this list, and their contribution to hearing health is one of the most clearly supported in the research. Leeks are among the richest dietary sources of folate, vitamin B9, which was identified in a large population study, published in the American Journal of Epidemiology, as being inversely associated with hearing loss in older adults. People who consumed more folate in their regular diet had a significantly lower risk of experiencing hearing loss over time. The inner ear depends on a network of very small, delicate blood vessels for its constant supply of oxygen and nutrients. Folate supports the health and integrity of those blood vessels. Leeks also contain kaempferol, an anti-inflammatory flavonoid documented in scientific literature for its meaningful anti-inflammatory activity, as well as allicin, giving them antimicrobial properties that support overall ear health. Leeks appear in the Bible alongside garlic and onions in Numbers chapter 11, verse 5, where the Israelites name the leeks among the foods they remembered from their time in Egypt. Leeks are among the easiest vegetables to cook. Slice them and add them to soups, broths, and stews. A simple leek and potato soup made with olive oil and garlic covers several of the foods on this list in a single bowl. You can also sauté sliced leeks in a little olive oil with garlic as a side dish alongside any meal. Aim to include leeks in your diet 2 to 3 times a week. They are gentle on the digestive system and very well tolerated by older adults. Rinse them thoroughly before cooking, as dirt can collect between the layers. The next time someone tells you that hearing loss is simply an unavoidable part of aging and that a hearing aid is your only path forward, remember this video. Remember that God already provided. These plants have been here all along. Scripture pointed to them thousands of years ago, and the wisdom of creation is still available to you today.